America is nowhere near as bad as Europeans think it is. Football is an expression of you. They don't have any problems in training when no one's watching. And the game comes on and now people are watching. What changed? Did the ball change? Is the ball square now? At 14, I made the U14 national team.
I want to become a pro. What are the key areas to focus on?
There is a proper formula for how to go on trial, how to do these things.
Welcome back on Evolve. Today we have the honor of having Will John back on the podcast. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here as always.
So today we're going to talk about football, and just for the translation, I mean soccer.
Yes.
So Will, you've played professional football in the US and also in Europe. That's the dream of millions of kids. I'm sure you have a lot of inspiring things to say. And I would like to start from the beginning and ask you, how did you get into football? What drew you into the sport?
That is a very easy question to answer. My father, Emilio John, played for the Nigerian national team. So I don't even remember my first kick of the ball. It's one of those things that you're born with the ball and it's just always a part of your life and you always love it. So my first team was at 5 years old, though. Right. That much I can tell you there. But from there, if you fast forward, I just quickly fell in love with the sport. At around 15, I kind of had like a moment. As a matter of fact, you'll appreciate this. I'll tell a story. I don't think I've told this publicly. If you're curious about how like the proper, I was 15. This must have been the year 2000. All right. And I don't know why I was at home. You know, the Champions League games they're obviously at night in Europe. That's the daytime for us.
Okay.
I should have been in school. I don't know why I wasn't in school. But it's the Champions League final, Real Madrid versus Valencia.
Okay.
Okay. And it's 0-0 at the time. Anelka gets the ball, kind of fakes back, does something like this, past Michel Salgado.
Okay.
Cross goes over everybody's head. Fernando Morientes, header, goal, 1-0. Morientes takes off on this insane celebration run, okay? And I'm sitting there, and it's the first time in my life that I ever had like the chills. I was having like a complete out-of-body experience. I had no idea. He ran back all the way from the goal all the way to the midfield to celebrate the goal. I have no idea what happened to me, but in that second right there, I knew I would be a professional footballer. I didn't have to think about what was going to be next in my life, where my life was going. It was completely one of those God-sent, felt moments, and that's it. So if you really wanted to know how I know and how I went on this path, from that moment on, I didn't have any doubts at all. That's what did it.
What would you say that a young player who's just had that moment that you talked about when you saw the Champions League final and is thinking, okay, I know that that's what I want for me. I want to become a pro. So what are the key areas that they need to focus on at that particular moment?
If they're around that age, then it's very simple. We've made, I don't know how many of these videos. I only update them because the world changes slightly and there's different things available to you, but the principles are always the same. The very first thing you need to do is to not think that you need to get on a flight to go to Madrid to go try out and, call somebody. No, the very first thing you need to do is make sure wherever you are at, that you are the best player. Ideally, you're the best player there in that city, at that team, at that place. But wherever you are, you need to be good. Okay? And so the very first thing is that. But what you're focusing on the day-to-day is your technique, your technical ability. Arsene Wenger has this hilarious interview where he basically tells people, he's like, yeah, if you didn't get your technique by 16, he's just like, meh. Like, I don't expect you to do anything in the game. He's like, because if you don't have it by then, it's very hard to pick up later. And that's very true. And it just goes back to what I was talking about. In America, they care about that physique, the speed and strength, and it's known for that. The technical ability is where you need to focus.
Okay.
Yeah. And your environment. If you're in a bad environment, what I mean by bad environment, I don't just mean negative things. I mean, if it's too easy for you, people around you are not technical, they don't play quickly, and all that stuff, you're not going to develop very fast. You need to play with it. The lucky thing you have, if you're 14 or 15 and I want to go pro, just literally, even if they're bad, just go play with 25-year-olds and 30-year-olds. Go play in the men's league because they're going to beat you up. they're not going to care. They're going to push you off the ball. They're going to kick you. No one's going to be, okay, get up. So what? Right? That environment, learning how to play at that level will change your game because it's quicker, it's faster. That was the big thing. I jumped from at 16, the national team to the pro. Well, they don't expect, that's the hilarious thing about it, is that your technique better be good. And if it's not, at 14, 15, it's okay if the pass is over here. I think I've done a good job. The pro goes, my foot is here. This is where I need the ball because there's a giant dude about to smash me behind me. You need to play the ball into space right in front of me. That's it. There's no like, well, I kind of did it. No, you didn't. It needs to be that good. Environment will do it.
Yeah. As you progress towards that goal of becoming a professional player, how do you deal with doubt through the different stages? Like, let's say, okay, now you're the best player in your local team and you're about to do the trial to play for the state team, and then you're in competition with other kids and you're thinking like, oh, these kids are probably better than me or might be better than me. I might not make it. And then there's another stage and you're confronted with those doubts again. How do you deal with this as a young player?
Once again, I don't know how many videos we've made.
Yeah.
Maybe 600, maybe 500 over the course of, I have no idea exactly. There is a proper formula, you can say, for how to go on trial, how to do these things. Number one, I would tell you, I was going to start with the be respectful part, but that just needs to be an over-encompassing thing. But don't be that guy, okay? So the first thing to do is, you talked about, oh, maybe these guys are there. No. I don't care about you in this. Especially, imagine it's a trial. Like you said, you're going to play with the state team. I do not care. Not only do I not care about that, I don't care about my coach, my girlfriend in the stands, that guy over there that's trying to get me to mess up on the shot. I don't care. None of it. You have to turn in. You have to turn inside. The problem guys have with anxiety, because now anxiety is just off the roof compared to where it was like, when I was growing up there. It's an outward focus. You are focused on what they are going to say. If they're going to put this on Instagram, what they're going to say when you miss your shot. Everything is about them. Zero is about how you're going to play. If I'm better than I got, than I was the game before. And so the first thing I teach players is to turn in, because they do it in training. They don't have any problems in training when no one's watching. And the game comes on and now people are watching. What changed? Did the ball change? Is the ball square now? Is it different? Is it a triangle? You don't know how to kick now? What changed? Nothing changed.
Yeah.
You're focusing on them and not on you, right? And so if you do that, you keep that center focus of like just trying to get better, just trying to enjoy the game, and only trying to get better than you were, and then really, really pushing. That's the only difference in a game. It's a test for you to see how much better you've gotten over the course of time. If you just care about that and then you let the outcome go, you're okay. It's not that you don't want to make the team. It's that you're not worried about that. I'm not thinking about that. That's not my focus.
So you've mentioned that you've been playing ever since, like you can't even remember the first time you touched the ball. So I'm guessing you've been training even before starting to play for a football team. But when that moment happened, that decisive moment that you've just described, did something happen also in the way you started to train? And so what I want to know is how were you training before that and maybe after?
Which is actually quite funny. It says something probably about my personality. But at 14, I made the U14 national team. They do this, the way it works, it used to work and kind of in some ways still works now. You would make your state team. Then they would make regions. They cut the USA into 4 regions. Those guys play together, and then they take the best players out of that, and they make 18, 20 guys, the best players in the country. So I made that first U14 team. We went to Mexico. To play against Atlas, a couple other teams, very good teams in Mexico. And it went okay for me, but they put me in a position where I'm not a left back. I'm left-footed, right? I dribble with my left, I shoot with my right. It's kind of strange. That moment there where it didn't go all that well, but kind of well, I remember I was out in the middle in Guadalajara, just juggling. It was raining, and I was just juggling I took some fruit off of a tree. It was green. It wasn't a lime, but it was something. And I juggled. I was just juggling in the rain. And I remember one guy coming by like, what is going on? The trip was over. But I was just like, I got to get better. I didn't know I was going to be a pro. I didn't know I was just wanted to get better. I wanted to be better. That's the moment where I came back from that trip to my team, who was the best team in the state. And like some of the parents were asking, like, what happened to this? Like, he was better, but then he was like, it was like, whoa, like way better. Part of it's your environment, and part of it was a switch. And that training where you start to take it seriously, that's the real part for every kid. If you want to know when things will change, when no one has to remind you to go to the field, when you're driven to do it all without anything, that's how the training like really became serious.
Right.
Yeah.
Who were your influences? Maybe like a football team when you were younger, or a player?
Yeah. My dad was heavily influenced by Ajax. So I had a lot, like talking about Nigerians and Finidi George and Mark Overmars and Kanu, all these guys. So Ajax, that obviously we had Maradona, Pelé. Those guys were huge, you know, for me. And then growing up watching Romario, Ronaldo from Brazil, you know, those guys that was huge. I'm trying to think. I had tons and tons of different guys that I love. I mean, Jose Mariguti, you know, there are tons, but those are the main ones. I didn't have a team. That's the thing. As an American, coming over to Europe, people are like, who do you support? That's a common question over here. You guys have roots in the people that you support. It's from where you're from. Well, the only team I support is my local team, and my other team that I play with, I play for Chicago Fire in the MLS. As far as the other, kind of, if Ronaldo from Brazil moves from Madrid to Inter Milan and to Milan, I'm sticking with Ronaldo wherever he goes.
Okay.
It's hard for me to be like, I can't watch him now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's true that we have that because for me, it was more the opposite. I was always say, when I was a kid, I used to love Raul. But I used to say, even if Raul leaves, I'll stick to Real Madrid. You know, I can't. Ronaldo, CR7 left, I don't care. You know,
done.
He can go. And how is the infrastructure around like football training and coaching in the States? Because in Europe, we know a lot about you know, how it is for basketball and American football, but not much about how it is for football or soccer.
You know, back in the day, I was lucky to have my father as a coach.
Yeah.
So I was blessed, but watching some of the soccer dads, as we would call them in the US, I mean, it's hilarious.
Okay.
The infrastructure is pathetic. I mean, these are guys that have just been asked to do stuff. Or you'll have, you know, you just said at the very beginning that the dream for a lot of players, not just Americans, but all over Asia, Africa, it's do well in your own country, go to Europe. That's the goal, right? And if you can do that, you're somewhat good at the sport, right? You don't have to be Ronaldo, Messi, this, but you're somewhat good. What we had in America, a problem that I like to talk about, is we had guys from the UK, England, that couldn't make it in the UK, so they went to America. Now, the level of the good players, they stayed in the UK and they continued their careers. They didn't then go. So some of the players who couldn't make it, they went to the US. They started camps, they started things. American people, let's say, they didn't know if the sport is new. It's kind of happening in some aspects in India right now. If you don't know, you just think, oh, he's got a nice accent. What? Yeah. Bit of this, whatever. And they think, give him the money. He knows what he's talking about. Right. So the infrastructure was poor for a lot of the places. You know, It's better now, but we can get into that.
So how was it then when you had to transition, when you moved to Europe?
The biggest transition for me was from, oh my God, I'm realizing that 14, 15, 16, we just touched on a lot of huge things. The biggest transition for me was at 16, I was able to start training with an MLS team.
Yeah.
At this time, that was just not happening. Like 16-year-olds and stuff like this.
That's very young.
It's very young. There was actually a guy, Craig Capano, a guy that I played with on that national team who was a pro, who was like a full pro. And they had started to talk to my family about potentially me, but I ended up going to college for a year and a half. That transition is the biggest transition. The next biggest, because it's just night and day, what's demanded of you as a good young player versus what's demanded of you as a pro, guys who do that, the environment is massive. And then from there to Europe, less of a transition for a young guy. I moved to Europe, the Danish Super League at 23. And I'd been in the pro level and played for the U20 national team and the U23. So it wasn't I'm a technical player. And so it wasn't that big of a deal. There's a bit of precision and tactical and up here that in Europe is way more structured than it is in the US.
Okay.
So Americans are physical, fast, and strong, and they don't give up. That we know the profile of a classic American players, but the tactical genius that's come from years and years of work over here in Europe is lacking in America, and then it's lacking in the MLS still today.
Okay. So do you have any memories of any challenges that you faced either when you were in the States or in Europe or both?
Yeah, the first thing for Americans, and I'm pretty sure this is still going on, maybe less so, was I'm not a huge, I'm average height, I'm 5'10", but in America, we value, like I said, the sports are strong, this. And so that gets emphasized when you're young and less about skill, technique, tactical things.
Yeah.
So the first thing you have to overcome, or I had to overcome, was being not a player who is going to smash players or whatever. You have to figure out how to deal with the physical aspect of the game.
Yeah.
So that was the major thing. I didn't have any other of those issues.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because in France, there's that debate as well. And you have players like, for example, Griezmann. He couldn't get accepted in a team in France because of the things that you mentioned. Yeah. And then he moved to Spain, where they would welcome these players that, even if they didn't have those kind of physical attributes, that were very skillful and more technical. So we have that also here in Europe. I think it depends on maybe the league and different countries. And so you also do a lot in promoting the sport in the United States. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Let's say we have a large social media following in several platforms, but I work with the U.S. Soccer Foundation.
Yeah.
I've actually worked with the State Department on several trips where we just go and we're ambassadors for not just the U.S., but also to help and bring, like, for instance, I was just in Tunisia. That one was about offering opportunities for Tunisian women to know how they could get better at the game, whether it's just playing, media, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Same, I was in Eswatini in Africa to do the same. And so, yeah, I have a channel that's just for goalies, that most people know about. It's just for goalies to want to know about the game. We have a pro who teaches them. And the same. The whole goal is to try and get people to understand what I could never have known back in my day at 14 or 15 about the pro game. No one was talking about it, and there's obviously no internet to see it. So to touch on your college point there, I went to St. Louis University, which is the school that still has the most national championships in college. There's a big thing that's going on is that there's a lot of money in college. And at the time, when I was in college, you weren't getting paid. Even back then, I knew it was a scam, right? You guys, like, this place is full. And like, you guys, what about those? There's a poster with me on there. You're selling tickets and all that. And then not let alone like soccer, let's say, but basketball, football, none of those guys are getting paid. That's all changing now. So, but like, in order for this to happen, also, you have to be a little crazy because there's no path. And at that time, there was way less of a path. Now you have MLS teams and they have all these structured programs, and maybe going to college is not the best thing. And so for me, I had to make my national team, basically. And even then, I made my national team. I got there. I'm getting no games as a pro. I'm 19. Well, at 19 at Chicago Fire, I did get, some chances. But I turned 20. I'm on the U20 national team. Coach doesn't like you. Have a seat. That's too bad, right? You don't fit this system. Griezmann, great player. Don't like your style of play. Sit down. You're not good. And so, like, you have to be able to go through a whole lot of ups and downs. That's the way career is. That's the way life is. But like, for sure, if you want to go down that route, I had to deal with all sorts of ups and downs, and just know my whole goal was just to go play in Europe. So the second I got the chance, I just took it. It was still a trial, but still, just went. The best part of playing is literally you forget that nothing matters. Nothing. When the ball is on, literally nothing matters. The apocalypse could be happening. If the ball is moving, the referee hasn't blown the whistle, I'm good. I'll see a giant mushroom cloud. Like, I'm not, whatever. The ball's here. Someone's crossing the ball in. And so having that focus, it's weird. You have this weird dichotomy of knowing that your whole goal is to score a goal. If you obsess about scoring a goal, you're not going to score a goal. All right. If you don't ever try to score a goal, you're not going to score a goal. It's one of these weird Eastern, Western yin yang philosophies. If you don't try, you don't usually get it. If you try too hard, you're not going to get it. You're pushing it away. The same approach has to be for the success. I love the game. I just enjoyed it. I love languages. I enjoyed it. As long as you show up consistently, and then you have to let your ego, because our egos are stupid, especially the male ego, right? We tell ourselves we're so cool. We don't want to be criticized. We don't, I'm fine. I'm fine. I don't need to go see the doctor. I don't like, it's so stupid, right? It's so stupid. You got to keep it in check. That's another thing. Constant reflection. That helped me. There's something to be said about having some natural talent. But listen, if I told you that I sat on the couch every day, you would not expect me, despite any of my talent, to be you wouldn't be surprised. You'd be like, oh, well, duh, And so there's some 50-50 dichotomy. I would say there's probably, I don't know this exactly, but say you're born with excellent talent, how much you tap into is a spectrum. And that's going to be attached to the hard work that you put into it. Everybody has some level and capability. And sometimes it's so far up there that you can't see, like there's a guy, Muggsy Bogues, I don't know how tall he actually is, and Spud Webb. These are guys from the NBA that they were so tiny, no one would ever even look at them as being on a part of those guys are some of the best players to have ever played in the NBA, right? They didn't have natural talent. They're not huge. LeBron James and I are the same age. Go look at LeBron at 18 and go look at me. It'd be like, hi, Will. And it's like, I'm LeBron. Sup? There's the two different, things going on there. So he has some natural talent mixed with hard work. That gets you what you need. I think there's no way to do it without them both.
You've got a YouTube channel where you do football coaching and tutorials. Can you share with us what's your approach to training and coaching in the football world?
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I don't think I've ever had a chance to talk about that. Yeah, it's a highly technical approach, meaning that what we try to teach people are principles of the game. We live in a modern world right now where the whole idea is, I want to learn the next Mbappe skill. I want to learn the next Neymar skill. I want to see, just teach me that. Just teach me that. That's the key, right? Right? If I can do what he did right there, that's it. No. The reason you're seeing Mbappe pull off this many things or Messi do that many is because the principles of the game, he understands them. He's trained them to a point that he doesn't think before he's saying, oh, pull the ball back. Okay. Uncanyo. Okay. Go through and none of that. You have to understand the principles of the game. So we teach them the principles of the game. High technique is stressed, meaning whether that's juggling, passing, dribbling, you're shooting, being able to bend the ball. You have to stay in a high environment, right? I told you that shift that happened. I'm on the U14 national team. I'm on the U16. Like, I'm good. Right? There's still a big stretch between playing with good 16-year-olds and playing with a 30-year-old pro who's been a pro for whatever, 10 years. All right. And being in a high environment will do wonders for you. And that goes for a guy who just want to be amateur. Like if you want to get better really quickly and you're a younger player, play with older players, play with better players. Just run around the field. I guarantee you in a month, you won't be doing the same habits because you can't get away with them. I can't muscle a 30-year-old as a 16-year-old. That's not going to happen. I got to figure something else out. And that sort of mentality you have to take into it will change you. Yeah.
I think that's very valuable to be able to have these things on YouTube now. I remember when I was a kid, I would look at the highlights of games and try to mimic what they do, right? I think that it's not always the best thing to do. It's good to be inspired by a professional, but then they do things at the stage where they're in their career that a beginner don't necessarily have to do. Whereas now you find tutorials about anything on YouTube. And I think it's very good because you get to have this opportunity to have a professional telling you what you should do at the stage where you're at. How important do you think that is?
There's a caveat. You just said you get to have a professional tell you. One of the big problems I have as a professional, someone I work to, is that you don't have to be a professional to tell people what to do. I find that actually to be a problem.
Yeah.
Just like the thing that I was saying, those guys from England who weren't good came over to the US to teach your kids how to play.
Yeah.
Wait a second, right? I thought, but you're not good. You want the other guys, right? But to your point of it being nice, that is amazing because I would have to put whatever VHS tapes my dad got me into the VCR, press play, watch it, rewind, watch it. I couldn't talk to the dude. There's no comment section for me to say, hey, Maradona, how did you do that in 1986? That was really cool, you know? And so it's important for you to be able to see all those, but I think we do have some issues with too much information. We made something called the 21-day challenge. We put out a video once a day for 21 days with a progression of what it is that you needed to do to train to get better at football. You don't have to think, to do anything. You show up to training. Someone who knows what they're doing is going to tell you what to do. You go do it. We want to believe in everybody, just like I want to believe that some kids aren't doing this. But what happens is you type in how to shoot harder. You watch one video, then you watch the next. Then an Mbappe skill comes on. By the time you're done, you've watched 10 videos. You don't remember the first one. You don't know when you train. You're not at the field. That's, are you learning something? But if they just watched a video on the tutorial, how to do it, and put the ball down right there in the carpet, there in the house, and tried it immediately, then you can make some pretty big gains if you stay, simple like that, for sure. But the other way might be tough. One other book to add for somebody who's already, you've named two already, but 80/20, which is a brilliant book that has applications well outside of business, right? It's for your life. You can 80/20 your life. And just for people that understand the principle, essentially we're stating that, a lot of the stuff that we do basically is junk, right? 20% of the things that you're doing are giving you 80% of your results, right? And so the flip side is also true. You might be wasting all of your time. Like you might be doing 80% of those things, are giving you 20% of the results. That's horrible, right? Maybe you need to reevaluate. And so if I look at those three things, basically what you have, deep work, let's consider and call that this peaceful, that calm, the meditation, the concentration, that aspect right there is the base. I consider that my base level. If you can establish this, you can find a way as a footballer, we'll just keep it in that realm right here. If you can find a way to establish that level of calm, you can build on top of it. What happens a lot of times is you want to build this, you want to look at this tutorial, your mind is filled with all the anxiety and this and what this, how come I'm not as good as, this guy and all that. That's hard, right? And so you run the risk of then now getting up to this point of Seneca, where he's saying trivial, these trivial aspects of your life, which is also connected to 80/20. Are you wasting your time doing certain things? For me, meditation became a huge part. I go around and I do interviews now with some of the best players in the world. Not some of them, like the best players in the world, right? I can tell you Bruno Fernandes, tons of these guys. And I always ask them, I just do it for fun. I don't care if they cut out my question. I'm like, I always go, so what level does the mentality play? And I'm talking to Curtis Alexander, Bruno Fernandes, Ruben Diaz talks about this. I asked Raul, Gonzalez, right? Raul Gonzalez Blanco, Sergio Ramos. I ask all of them. They all say the same thing. I'm only doing it because I want to make the point, because it's not the sexiest thing to put out on videos. If I ask them, what is it? And it's my mentality, how you and what you think about yourself and how you train and how you deal with negativity. Will these players go further than the ones that cripple as soon as they make a mistake, right? So it's important. Barry, your inner state is what is determining how you are in your external world. It sounds like a weird, abstract, philosophical, Eastern, mystical thing. It's not. It's very tangible. How you feel on the inside is going to eventually come out on the outside, period. And so the more you cultivate a good inner peaceful world and then apply that to training and apply that to your life, you'll start to see. The problem we have is that sometimes that might take time, and everybody knows we don't have any time anymore. We want things now. Give it to me now. Give me the best immediately.
What point did you start to understand this in your career?
You pick up on it. I had hints of it. But as I've already been talking about the male ego, I had hints of it as a younger player. But as a younger player, you just take your energy, you just run around. You just run. It's hilarious now on the field to watch guys between 16 and 22 wasting. Where are you running? What are you doing? The ball's going to come back here. You can see it. As an experienced player, you start to see, well, they're not going to get out of that spot, or it's a very unlikely. Why are you wasting your time doing this? I started to understand it more clearly probably in my mid-20s, but I had hints of it thanks to my dad teaching me about visualization, like having the right mentality. I played with a guy named Eddie Johnson, right? Eddie Johnson, he's a striker for the U.S. He ended up playing, I think he played at Fulham, actually, over here. And I remember one time I was 20, I must have been 20 or 21, and we're playing at the Kansas City Chiefs stadium. It's Arrowhead, this big stadium. It's like the new camp, 90,000 seat stadium, all this. Before the game, he had his shirt over his head. He had his locker. He was looking into his locker. Does that make sense? So he turned his chair around instead of looking out at the rest of us, put his thing and he put it in, and he's there. And I'm thinking, what is he doing? But this is the time. So I don't remember what year this was, 2006, let's say, something like this. At that time, we had DVD players. He had like a DVD player. So it looked like a little thing you put a disc in, and like a little TV thing popped up there. That's like, oh, it's crazy. But that's what he was watching. And he was watching his goals. He was watching his goals, and he was trying to put himself in the mindset of scoring goals. I think at the time he had a goal drought. And that was one of the most important things. I knew he was just trying to get himself back in the mindset of like being this guy, goals, goal. Wow. And so it's really amazing to see it, especially in strikers, because it's such a mental game. They'll miss chances that they're like, you see Fernando Torres, we were talking about earlier, right? You see him miss an open net. 99 out of 100, he's going to score this. What happened when he's going through his goal droughts? It's all up here. There's nothing wrong with him. Something changed. And like, that's what Eddie was trying to do. And when you learn that, it's a skill that you can cultivate. That definitely, like I told you, I learned it about 25, 26, 28. I was on the short list I didn't get called up, but for the Nigerian national team, I was the leading goal scorer on my team. I was playing in Baku, in the Premier League of Azerbaijan. Leading goal scorer on my team as a midfielder, right? And so like by then, but what happened is I was living we had two things. We had a really beautiful stadium set up where you could live there if you wanted to after training. But I also had they give you an apartment in the city, which is really nice. It's really cool, and it's a very tourist-like city. I would spend time at the stadium though, alone, sometimes just walking on the top fourth floor that overlooks the stadium, kind of visualizing, just chilling. Yeah. That translated into goals. When you're making videos on mentality, visualization, the fact is that they tend to flop because they're not as cool as Messi, as Ronaldo, as name any star. If you attach that to it, it's way better. Crazy.
So do you also teach mindset in your coaching programs?
In the program, yeah. In the program, yeah. There's you don't have a choice. I can't just skip this and tell you'd have to do the technical work and all the rest of the stuff. But if you don't work on it, it's called the Beast Mode program, actually. We made this specific program. It's a 7-day program called the Beast Mode program, where you literally are listening, and I'm forcing you to think about the player that you are and the player that you want to be. It's crazy. It's crazy cool. The fact that you get it if you're part of our program, but like it's cheap if you just want to buy it. And do it. The problem is it's easy not to do. Like you can just show up to training because you just take your body there and you just go and you run around and you chase the ball. Yeah. It's much harder to sit down, not mess with your phone, not deal with the things that are going on in your life, and focus on changing your inner state. That's harder. So we avoid it. I used to help out a lot with in between seasons. I always go back to the US and I'd help out sometimes with my high school, and my high school was very successful and has been very successful within the football world. And you get to coach these kids who are kind of afraid to play. And my whole goal, and you'll see this throughout all of the videos and stuff, is I'm telling people to express themselves. Football is an expression of you. What you do with the ball is an expression of you. You can't play like me. I can't play like you. I might play similar, but how you're going to solve a problem, it has your imprint just like a fingerprint, right? But if you're scared to express yourself, you're covering up. You're darkening your light, right? And that is everywhere else in your life. That's why sports are so important for young people, because if you are just smothering your light, whether that's because, like I said, outward focus, what's he going to say if I try to do this rainbow over him? Because it's true. Yeah. I see it in the comment section. Who do you think you are? You think you're Neymar? I was playing in a charity match. What was this? Oh no, it wasn't a charity match. It was funny enough at the DC United's new stadium. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a Republican versus Democrat. I guess it's still a charity match, whatever, right? And so I'm in the game. I'm playing against congressmen, NFL stars. It's a celebrity type thing.
Mm.
I'm the only current pro, playing the game. I scored, I don't know, hat trick or 4 goal. I don't remember now, right? But I remember in the corner, I got the ball. I'm just doing all sorts of crazy stuff with my feet. Just like as somebody, I don't even know who this person is. Probably like a news anchor is like, I'm having too much fun. It's just too stupid. But the stadium is it's like the England stadiums. You're very close to the fans. I can hear you. I could touch you right behind me. And I hear a guy, easy Ronaldo, easy Cristiano. Ooh. I remember thinking, or maybe he said Ronaldinho too. I'm thinking, what do you mean exactly? Like what is it? But that level of, and by the way, I'd already scored 3 goals. Like I'm clearly just joking. I'm walking around half the time. Like but like that is tough for people. And so expressing yourself has to be, because people don't do it. Kids won't do it. They're afraid of that.
How have you seen the football education changing in the US? How is it now compared to when you started? And maybe where would you like to see it go, let's say in the next 10 years and even moving forward?
So it was in the past an absolute disaster. Right now, it's much, much, much better, but there's a lot of room to grow. And the one thing that I'll say about the future is that the problem in America is that we lack history within our soccer culture because it's fractured, right? My dad played in the ASL and, these leagues in the 70s when he came over. And that league, the NASL as well, they failed. We'd be having a much different conversation right now if that league didn't fail and then a new league started in 1996, right? Because if we had all of that culture from now, that's something else. What's happening right now is that America's still searching for a soul, and they're looking to England, they're looking to and they're trying to emulate that.
Okay.
No. Not going to work. Doesn't work. Different system, different people, too big of we want these academies and all this. It's just not going to work. You guys, there's 300 plus million people and there's not. How many people are in UK? 100 mil? 70 mil, right? You guys have so many leagues and so many teams with so many academies and so many camps and all this stuff. And they're all linked up in this beautiful structure, right? And all this stuff. We don't have that. They're trying to figure out, how do we get this? You're looking at the wrong map.
Yeah.
It's just not going to work, you guys. But that's because we have good relations with you speak the same language, and we want to try and emulate. There's some things we need to take. But we are in a search for our soul right now. And so that's for the future. Where it stands right now, when I started, it was the start of the Reserve League, I think the very first time. So like, imagine this, like in 2005, so 20 years ago, if you didn't play in the game at the weekend in the MLS, nothing. So too bad. Go to the training the next day or whatever and run like crazy, and that's it. And then they started the Reserve League, which was an absolute disaster. You had guys that weren't pros, barely, guys making just nothing. I remember they would call them in. We'd have these like half training players. Disaster.
Right.
Go to now. We got MLS Next. All these things. Guys are on TV. They had announcers. It's a massive change.
Yeah.
But the beauty of that and the curse is that America does the superficial organization and the marketing stuff probably better than virtually everyone.
Yeah.
Maybe you could say the EPL markets itself better than best in the world. But second, I think only to the way the marketing in the in the US is. But there's a problem that the on-field stuff matters. So while the MLS has gotten better in a whole host of ways with good structures and stuff in the stadiums and all the offerings to the fans, what's fallen behind still, the tactical and technical errors that happen in MLS games don't happen in, and I'm not saying this is not the worst, because sometimes it's too edged. And I love the fact that I get to finally say this publicly. It's too edged. America is nowhere near as bad as Europeans think it is. All right. And for the US, all right, the European lower leagues, right? Okay, they are not that far off from where the US really is, especially with individual players. I pick up a left back and I put him in Denmark. If he's in an MLS player, he's not gonna kick the ball in his own net. 5 times in the game. Okay. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is a huge thing, but the MLS, the tactical things, it's funny because like, I remember when I played in Finland, we were playing the Europa League. Every single player in our starting 11 has either full national team or national team experience, right? And I had some discussions with Ziggy Schmidt, who was a coach. He's passed away now, about coming back to LA. This is the time Ibrahimovic was just about to sign for the LA Galaxy.
All right.
But there was another club there, and they were like, Finland? Like what? Like, we're playing in the Europa League, right? The games and the level are incredible. Incredible. Now, the difference is that an American looks at that and goes, Finland, first off, where is Finland? I don't care that you're playing in the Europa League, but where is that? It's not the EPL. It's not one of the top 5 leagues, right? And so they'll devalue that, right? Whereas the tactical and technical and the level of those players, all of those players gone on here. They go to the national team they go play here. You know, one of them actually plays with Messi now, Robert Taylor, a friend of mine, you know, and he plays full national team. These are great. So there's this weird thing going on where Europeans think that American like hasn't come along, and then the Americans think that the only good players are, you know, at these top levels and
stereotypes.
Yeah, they're stuck in it. Yeah. It's a little weird, but you know, maybe it'll change. Maybe.
Okay. And what about you? What's next for you?
Right now, I'm training. I'm training like a mad person because at this stage in my career, I've been blessed enough. You know, at 23, I knew that I wanted to do this as long as possible, right? And so that doesn't mean I didn't have any fun across all this. But no, I don't really drink. You know, I don't smoke. I don't like all those things. I take care of myself. I do yoga. I do all this sorts of stuff to care. One of the mentors I have is a guy named Preki. He's a fantastic player from Serbia, went on to play for the US. And the dude at like 42, like became MVP in the MLS. He has this one move that everybody knows, just this cut. And it's the craziest thing because like he'd be standing in the middle of the field. He's not going to shoot. How he sets up to shoot and then he cut. And the defenders, you see the defender just cripple down, like just fall down, you know, but it's the craziest because like, I remember talking to him about it. You know, I talked to him like, what did you do? Like, how did you do it? And he just did yoga. He said, I believed myself. I understood that I was always better than like this crazy killer mentality that they have. You have to develop that. And so that's what I'm right now. I've had offers in Denmark. I've had offers to play in Asia. I've had opportunities to return to the US. I wait and train until I figure out what exactly is something that I like. I want a good, positive, quality place where they care about the game, that they're trying to get better, that they're taking the game seriously. Until that comes, I don't care.
Right. And outside of football, I mean,
outside of football, I do
outside of football, but maybe with content creation and in general.
Do you mean around football content or just
not only?
Oh my God. Yeah. I do so much outside. I've, you know, in like 2017 or something like this, 16, 17, 18, I built a media company. And so I do, you know, I have a language company that teaches people how to learn languages and does language content. You know, we have our football channels. We have a private membership club for footballers, which is this really cool idea that's not entirely been done. It's just a place for people to see and actually get to know behind the scenes stuff.
What would you tell yourself if you could see yourself maybe when you were like 14 years old?
I asked that exact question to players also as well. It's a good question. Yeah, it's a really good question. I think I did a really good job. If it wasn't for the experience that I had when I was 15, I would have had interesting doubts about what I was doing and how I was doing, because at sometimes, man, I'm telling you, I've experienced so much and so much crazy. Like, for instance, I went to Vitória Setúbal, right? I was there for a trial. I go there, I absolutely destroy everything. Killing everybody, scoring all sorts of goals. We get ready to go to another part of Portugal to go, you know, train. And assistant coach comes up to me scratching his head. I'm still friends with him. And Claudio Braga, he's like, I don't understand what's going on, but the coach just told me you're not going. You know, I said, I have no idea why. I feel like he felt so bad about it. He gave me his personal number and was like, just call me if you need something. I don't know. He's like, something happened. I don't know. I don't really know. Come to find out, there was a few agents trying to figure out, it was money. Money got into it, right? And so that one has nothing to do with me. I did my job, right? go play well. Didn't work out, right? You have all of these things that will happen. That's what you need to know at 14, 15.
Yeah.
You always have to, I still always take responsibility on myself. That's the thing that you have to do. If you have that mindset, you'll never have anybody else to blame, which you shouldn't. And so at 14, I would tell myself that, listen, some stuff is going to go wrong that you don't have anything to do with. The most important thing that you need to do is to always put your head down and do the work and show up and be disciplined. That's it. The rest will take care of itself. But stuff is going to go bad. Stuff is going to go wrong. Shake it off. Okay. Take a second to cry for 2 seconds and now, okay, get back to work. Right. And that's it. And if you do that, everything will be fine. That's generally the case. But there's so many opportunities for you to just give up.
Yeah.
It's so easy. Like, oh, that didn't go well. I guess I should just stop now. All the time. You can't, it's a trick though. It's just a trick. It would just be easier to do that. And it's not. That's what I would tell myself. The thing is though, I'm lucky that I understood at 23 that I wanted to do this for that long. I understand the guys who drink, party hard throughout their 20s and then get to the 30s. The problem it's not necessarily that your body breaks down. What happens from what I've seen for the guys that have issues is that they do all that stuff. They don't really care about it because you can do that throughout your 20s, right? Just party and whatever, blah, 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 blah. What happens is some injury, something happens and you don't heal the same way. You don't heal the same way you did. And that's not a problem. You can still get over it. But now that means extra energy, extra work. Some people aren't willing to do it in. Most of these guys you see retiring in that time frame could go a little bit further or could go much further. But they're not willing to. It's up here, they're done. And so longevity starts in the mind and then it starts with discipline. I was lucky in that sense, but anybody you can cultivate that. You can cultivate it late. Like you can start late, I say it, but 30, 31, 32, like if you start, it's crazy what you can do over 6 months of doing only yoga, only strengthening. It's wild. You never know. That's also a motivation of mine. I never want to, I love the fact that I can just if someone was 100 burpees now, boom, don't you love it? Yeah, 200, fine, 250. I'll keep raising the number, but that I can just do it, right? You don't ever want to lose that. They might be slower burpees by the time you're in your 70s, right?
Can we take breaks, please?
Yeah. I'll do one every week for the next 250 weeks. Yeah. But dude, don't you want to be able to move? And there's nothing better. Yeah. There's nothing better than feeling free in your body. So I feel for the people that let it go. But that's the other thing. Imagine you don't do anything and you're not doing it. Well, great. That means if you're a couch potato, you do nothing for, 30 days. Getting up and walking 5 minutes is a win. So if you're in this position where you're thinking I've not done any yoga, I haven't done anything, it's dude, then that means today a 10-minute jog is actually a win. And that's where you can start. You don't have to go lift 300 pounds on your first day. Just do something better than you did the day before. Small steps. You don't have to get there's programs and all these things. You don't have to worry about any of that. If you just whittle it down, I think honestly, the way it's worked in language learning, if you can, we call it addition through subtraction. Right? Just eliminate the bad habits. All of you, everyone, every single one of us, unless we're just giving into the male ego, know some stuff that we're doing that we need to stop doing. We should probably don't eat the 7th donut. Can I have 3 donuts today? Maybe, that. Everybody knows that. If you just cut out some of that stuff, that you haven't even done anything. You've just eliminated some bad habits that you've just stopped doing them, and you start to propel yourself forward. That's small. Eliminate 1. Just 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Everybody knows Atomic Habits, James Clear in the book, and it's quite popular. But he's not the first person to have that, that thought. He did it for our modern world, but it works, right? And then the funny thing is that this is in Cal Newport's, the deep work, once you finally start doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing, momentum. Everybody forgets about momentum because you can't, the first start, struggling to do the jog and stuff like this. But then once jogging is normal, sprinting becomes almost inevitable, right? It's tough to get yourself to the gym to do it. But then once something happens and then you can just go from here to there. No one talks about that part because you just got to get to the momentum point. Can I tell you what happened in Korea? If you have Korean fans, I've been to Korea twice, played in both tournaments, one with the national team. We're playing against, like I said, Argentina. I scored against Poland. I think we won. and playing against Korea in the World Cup stadiums that were there for the South Korea Japan tournament. I think the World Cup in 2002 was there, right? The Korean fans, when we're playing against Korea, it's at night. I don't know what this cheer is. I can't remember. It's their cheer. And I wish I can hear it. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. It's so epically loud, right? During this, but we are winning. Sorry, the game was tied 0-0 and, it's full, like, I don't know, 40, 50K. And, like, I remember looking around and they're doing that cheer, like, just all constantly. And they're behind our goal. Our goalie's right there and they're behind our goal. And a cross came in. It got flicked really funny. And then it got headed in. I have never in my life heard a louder noise than what happened in those few seconds. It was deafening. You could not, from here to here, I couldn't, like, it was inside my brain. I couldn't hear my thoughts. It was absolutely wild. I'm looking up in this round. I'm thinking, dude, it sucks that they scored, but this is awesome. This is so cool. That's literally, I was just like, this is one of the coolest things ever. It was awesome. It was awesome. It was just craziness. They went wild. And so, like, I had such a good time in Korea. I haven't been back now. It's been too long, but yeah, it was awesome. I was playing in Azerbaijan. All right. I was playing in Baku, and our club was doing very well at the time. And we'd had a tremendous preseason, winning a lot of games. Like, we were like, okay, there's big hopes for this season. And it was in the first game of the season, first home game of the season, and a ball got played to me. All right. Imagine this. I'm playing attacking midfielder. Ball gets played to me, 70 yards, whatever, 70 meters roughly, something like this. While the ball's traveling in the air, I'm running. I'm right up into the box. You can show this goal, right? I'll send it to you. You can see it.
Okay.
As it's coming in the air, all of a sudden, once again, time is really slow. I'm like, the safest thing, the easiest thing for me, like immediately external focus was like, just head it. Just head it and pray that it like gets on goal. That's good. You're going to be surrounded by defenders. I obviously I can't settle it down. Like, that would be crazy. And then I thought, that's kind of like those are nervous thoughts. Maybe I should just try and take it off my chest. I'm having all of these thoughts. The ball is traveling like there. So we realize something that's weird is going on, right? Yeah. And so, because that's not how it normally happens. But so I was like, you're right. I'll take it off my chest. Okay, so I take it off my chest. So the second I take it off my chest, I checked out. My consciousness, not here. Flow. I have no idea. I'm watching my foot kick the ball over my head. I did not tell my foot. It's hilarious because I told my dad after the game. He called me after the game. He goes, "What a goal!" But like, I go, I didn't tell my foot to kick the ball, and I didn't. And to this day, my foot did it. I did not trigger. I'm doing this with my hand. I did not do that. It did it itself. Kicked the ball over a player, over somebody. Funny enough, that player then came to my team later on, so we joked about it. Over him, before the ball hits the ground, the goalie is about to just crush me. He's about to crush me. For some reason, I just don't care about that. There's like a little tiny sliver of space here on there. I hit it with my right foot in. I take off on wild celebration, like we're going crazy and like we're dancing. We win the game 1-0. But that whole entire sequence, right? If you go back to me being at the stadium in the fourth floor, walking around visualizing, the whole entire thing, the exact way of the celebration was exactly as I pictured it up there. The exact same thing. I was in the fourth floor window, look over this, watch myself run, because that's where the stadium, the fans, like that's over there. It happened just like that. And it's all because of the visualization and the flow. Wow. And yeah, there's actually, there's these videos there's 50 microphones all up in my face, all like talking about, what is it? I had a translator then because I didn't speak any Russian, at the time. So it was wild. It was wild. But yeah, that's just an element. That's just one of a ton of stories. Almost every footballer at a high level has one of those stories. I just interviewed a guy who's goalie. He's actually quite controversial in your guys' country, David Icke. You know David Icke? He was a goalie. He tells a story about doing the exact same thing. And he's like, I don't know what happened. Something happened.
Yes.
You know, everybody's got those stories. It's real. If you can get in that flow state, you can do it.
Well, thank you very much for sharing those stories with us.
Guys, enjoy the game. Literally, that's my thing for everybody. Relax, enjoy the game. Don't get too caught up on everything that is external to yourself. Like I said, make the whole journey an internal one. You'll enjoy it.